Hello, welcome to the Triune Physics, aka Physics Bible. Today we'll be dealing with linear momentum, okay, impulse, and Newton's laws of motion. Are we together? This will be purely physics concept. Later, we'll combine this with biblical concept. So by definition, what is linear momentum? Linear momentum, from the word, you can say it is a momentum in a straight line. For example, if you have this object, okay, the same object represented into three places, the object of mass, of course, this object will change its position across this distance. So, when this object changes that position, it is known as momentum. So, the momentum of a body is the product of its mass and its velocity. So you can see when an object moves, when you combine these two, the object and its movement or its change according to motion, it gives you momentum. So let's represent that mathematically. We know that momentum is a product. So momentum will equal mass times velocity. Is that clear? So if we want to represent this further, if momentum is equal to P, most of the textbook uses letter P to represent that, then velocity equals V. Uniting this together, we say that P is equal to M multiplied by V. Please take note of this equation or this formula in physics. As college students, momentum is equal to mass multiplied by velocity. Please, I had to circle this so that you take note of this. We can label this as equation 1 or as one of the most prominent equation. Take note of this. We'll recall this later as we proceed. Then, let's move further. You will now see that if you are asked for the SI unit of momentum, the SI unit of momentum from the formula, you can derive that because we know that mass is in kilogram and velocity is meters per second. So momentum is equal to kilogram meters per second. Is that clear? Please, you derive physics equation and then their SI units in connection with the formula. So momentum is a vector quantity, velocity is a vector quantity, and mass, of course, you know, is a scalar. Please take note of these. Now, let's proceed to impulse. Impulse. What is definition of impulse represented by uppercase I? Impulse is the product of the average force here acting on a body or particle and the time during which it acts. The time during which it acts. It is known as impulse. Are we together? Now, the triune component, impulse, average force, then the body or particle, very important. This is the mass. Is that clear? Without the object, there will be no movement or there will be no recipient of force. So, impulse, average force, and time. Mathematically, we can now rewrite impulse to be equal to force multiplied by time. Is that clear? Now, representing that using symbols, if we represent this using an object, let's say this is our object, okay, the arrow is pointing, then if this object changes its position, force is applied on this object of mass, then it will move across its distance and motion comes into effect, and hence you can see that time will be utilized. So when force is applied on an object in consciousness of time, then you can say that is impulse. So impulse is a vector, force is a vector, and time is a scalar quantity. I is equal to F multiplied by T. So I is equal to Ft. Take note of this equation too. Is that clear? Very important. Please, I'm highlighting them so that you understand. So what is the SI unit of impulse? From this, force is given in Newton and time is given in second. So you have Newton second as your SI unit. I hope this was very clear to you. Okay, let's proceed further. We are going to combine impulse and momentum later as we proceed into Newton's laws of motion. Are we together? Newton's laws of motion. The first, the second, and the third. All right? Are we ready? Now, Newton's first law of motion. Let's begin with that. Of course, you know that Isaac Newton discovered how forces are related to motion. He stated three important laws. The first, Newton's first law of motion, which is also called the law of inertia. Are you here? Or inertia. It is stated as that every object continues in its state of rest, in its position of rest or of uniform motion. If an object is not static, it might be in motion and in a straight line. So every object is either at rest or is in motion, and it will continue in that state unless it is acted upon by an external force, except there is a force that counters the movement of that object or that try to force that object to move. That's what Newton is trying to say. If you observe the triune components, every object, the state of motion, and the force applied. I hope this is clear to you. Please take note of this. Object of mass, very important. Number one, triune component, the state of motion, either rest or uniform motion, and then external force, the third triune component of the Newton's first law of motion. Okay? Now let's assume that this object is the car here. Okay? This car is currently at rest, exactly, and is about to move in a straight line. Then for this car to change its position across this distance to this new position now, exactly, we need to apply a force. So if this boy here applies force on this car, then this car will change its position to the new position. Is that clear? So what Newton is trying to say is that every object will remain in its state, the current state, either at rest or in motion, or when it is in motion, it will continue in the state of motion unless there is a force that tries to stop it from moving. Is that clear? If not, it will continue in that present state. I hope this is clear to you. How about inertia? Inertia is the tendency of bodies to remain in their state, in their position of rest or the position of uniform motion in a straight line. I hear. So when a body is static, it tends to remain static. When a body is in motion, it tends to continue in that state. You can regard that to be inertia. Are we together? Now let's proceed further. Now Newton's second law of motion. Newton's second law of motion. Please pay attention to this part because it's very important. We are going to derive some equation. It states that the resultant force F causing a change, underline that, in momentum of a body is what? Directly proportional proportionality to the time rate of change of this momentum. Are you here? So what he was trying to derive from here, our triune component, we have the force, the resultant force, the change in momentum, the second, and the time rate is the third. So when you are referring to Newton's second law, these three things have to come into consideration: the force applied, the change in position, and then the time rate at which it occurs. Of course, the body is constant, the object of mass. Are we together? Mathematically, force is proportional to change in momentum, okay, all divided by the time taken for the change. Are we together? So let's proceed further. If we say that F is equal to force, and then the change in momentum is equal to delta P. Remember that we've treated this earlier. If you refer back to this, delta P is change in momentum. Is that clear? Then, and time taken is equal to T. Are you here? T, time taken. Then, if we substitute, we can say that F is directly proportional to delta P over T. Okay? But also recall that momentum P is equal to mass multiplied by velocity. Is that clear? Then if that is the case, we can say that F is proportional to delta mv over T. Are we together? Now, solving further, if the change in momentum, okay, is equal to, let's write that out, mu to be the initial momentum, okay, and mv is equal to final momentum. Then substituting, what are we going to have? Our F, are you here? Substituting, our F is proportional to mv minus mu all over T. Okay, let's factorize since we have mass and mass in both the final and initial, because mv minus mu is equal to delta P. So by so doing, factorizing, F is proportional to m into v minus u over T. Okay, close your bracket. Now, from these, you recall that v minus u over T is acceleration, right? If that is the case, we can substitute that into F is proportional to ma, which is mass multiplied by acceleration. Okay, and it's the same thing as F is equal to kma. If this constant is 1, okay, then we can say that force is equal to ma. Is that clear? Please take note of this equation, very important. And if you can remember, this is the equation or the formula for applied force. Is that clear? Applied force is given as ma, and it is also Newton's second law of motion. Please take note of this. Then what's the SI unit? Kilogram meters per second squared. Take note of this. Force is a vector quantity, mass scalar, acceleration is vector quantity. Please take note of these. Now, what are the relationship between impulse and Newton's second law? Okay, relationship between impulse and Newton's second law. Now, from the above, you realize that F is equal to m into v minus u over T. Okay, if we rewrite this. We have F is equal to M into V minus U, close your bracket, over T. When you cross multiply, you know that Ft is equal to M into V minus U, right? Then, if that is the case, you recall that Ft is equal to impulse, right? Therefore, impulse is equal to M into V minus U. But also recall that momentum is mass multiplied by velocity, right? So if we unite V minus U into V, then we can say that impulse, okay? Impulse, we can now say that impulse is related to momentum. I hope that is clear to you. Please take note of what I did here. Is that clear? So take note of this equation, very important. This one too, very important. Okay, I'm highlighting them so that you understand that when solving mathematical problems in physics, you need most of these equations. Okay, then finally, Newton's third law of motion. Newton's third law of motion is stated that to every action, okay, and reaction, all right, are equal and opposite reaction or opposite force. Now, to every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. This reaction is also known as force. So it's like force acting against force altogether. So the greater force will tend to manifest itself over the lesser force. But of course, the lesser force will still exist to manifest its effect. So if this is the object, okay, this is the action at your right hand side, action, we have reaction, okay? Then under reaction, you see is opposing the movement of the body. Hence, you can see the forward movement, the opposite reaction. So to every action, to every inaction, there is an equal and opposite reaction. I hope you understand this concept. We'll continue with this in our next episode. Please join us. Connect to our social media handles at Physics Bible, the Triune Physics, for latest update. Thanks for joining us. Stay equipped, stay liquid.